Hello and welcome back to Talking About Cross Stitch with me, the Stitching Owl. I'm coming to you on November the 2nd from London, Ontario in the year 2024. I have no idea where the month of October went. Wow, time is just speeding by. I hope everybody had a happy Halloween. Here in Ontario, well, at least in my neck of the woods, it was much warmer than expected. It's not typical for us to be at 18 degrees for an entire day on the last day of October. The children loved it. We had 63 people visit our front door. Yes, I count. And in order to control, we learned a long time ago with having Lhasa Apsos who announce every person that comes to the door and on our land that it's a good idea for the doorbell not to be ringing all the time. And so we actually disconnect the ringer for the one evening, and then somebody cuddles her in another room so that it's a little bit quieter than it would be otherwise, and I don't have to worry about her rushing out the front door. I'm sure many of you have found this trick to be helpful to you as well. If you have seen me before and are coming back, thank you. Thank you so much. I have enjoyed reading every one of the comments. Last time I think I had more comments than I've had before, and I truly loved it. I hope you'll continue to do that. If this is your first time here, I hope you'll stay a while and see if I'm stitching something that is interesting to you. My Send a Smile program this past 2 weeks, as you know, I was at Stitch North. And as such, I was delivering things in person, and in the normal Stitching Owl way, I forgot to take pictures before, I had planned. I gave out about 20 project bags, and I had planned to take a picture of each of them, and that didn't happen. I gave about 15 ornaments. You have seen all of the ornaments over a period of time. And then a few t-shirts as well. So I had fun doing that, and I received many, many things. Now, I am not going to actually do a full Stitch North recap. Lisa, for City Stitching, came back the day that Stitch North ended and gave a beautiful recap and show and tell of the things that were shared around our table and that we received. And I'm going to invite you to consult that if you're someone that just loves seeing retreat wrap-ups. I don't think I need to show the exact same things that Lisa showed so well. And she's younger than me, and it was a few hours later, so chances are she'd remember people's names much more accurately than I can. Now, I will show you just a couple of things that I know are different than what Lisa showed. We had a smalls exchange, and of course it was ornaments in a project bag from me. Hi Gail, I'm so glad that you got my small, and this is the one that I received from, yes, somebody else by the name of Karen. So I want to thank her for putting such a lovely effort into this. I mean, the bow, the buttons and the pins and the sewing and this lace, it is just absolutely splendid. I love a good polka dot. Such a beautiful little small, and just well done. Well done. So I really appreciated that. Something else that other people, I don't believe, received, my table. So I'm going to say I had the best table in the whole room. And if somebody else says they have the best table, they're also right. It's just like each of us saying we have the best cat or the best dog. We each do. Now at my table, we actually had 9 people. And included in there, of course, was Lisa right next to me and Deborah next to her. The other side of me was Jody, and then of course Lori of My Crazy Life, and Lori was extremely generous in giving us the 2025 My Crazy Life stitch planner. Yeah, cross stitch planner. So you've seen me using this year, and she's tweaked it a little bit, given us some more pages here and there, and of course I will be using it again. So I do thank Lori because that was a very generous gift. On the other side of Lori was Lisa from Lost in Stitches in Edmonton. And of course, next to her was her mom. Do watch her next video because she will tell you the story, I'm sure, of arriving at Pearson Airport and going, oh my goodness, how am I going to find my mother who's flown into a different part of this very large place. So she was charming. And her mother is absolutely a doll. Now, Lisa made me this little owl. It's got a stand here for me to be able to pop it on top of my piano. So I really appreciated that. And it's tiny, tiny, but very precise stitching. Lisa, so talented. And she included, among other things, because we got quite a few things from Lisa, she gave me a beading from Wonderland Crafts. So this is, I think she ordered this maybe from Etsy, maybe somebody Ukrainian. But each one of these spots in the petals will hold beads for me. And being that I'm just sort of making do with cigarette trays that nobody smokes here, so I might as well use them for beading. This will be actually an improvement because I can keep out multiple colors of beads at the same time. To the rest of you who gave me things and sought me out, I want to thank you. It was a moment for me to step out of our room that first night and hear somebody go, oh, that's the stitching owl. And I turned around and said, why, yes, hi. And delightfully discovered they also were from Ontario and quilted and yeah, made fast friends. So the gifts were amazing. So many people made pouches, and that included many things inside the pouches. We have a very generous and loving community. I will pop in a video that includes a few of the purchases that I made. I'm not going to show you everything, but I do want to shout out Hand Dyed by Rolanda because her fabrics are amazing, and I want to insert a video about them right now. Hi, I'm here to show you some of the wonderful things that I purchased from Hand Dyed by Rolanda. So she's a dyer here in Canada in a section of Toronto called Vaughan. I think it's Vaughn. And so I will admit that so many of us could have just spent an awful lot of money on fabric alone, and some people did. I did purchase fabric from her to get me through at least the next 6 months. So she had some 32 count Luganas that were opalescent that I thought, oh, how pretty. So this is one of them. And I don't know whether you'll be able to pick up the sparkle or not. A little bit. So that's one of the opalescent that I purchased. Did she name these? Let's see. I do not see a name other than the count. So this is another opalescent 32. So this is coming out a very bluish color, and it's actually quite mauve. And the other opalescent that I bought of 32 and 28 was really where her opalescents were, as this one. So there's lots of opportunity there to have something that's got all the lighter and something that's got the splotches. But she has a way with how she makes the swishing marks. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, you can see the opalescent there. Isn't that gorgeous? So you can purchase her stuff online. I just like to see the fabric I purchase in person before I buy it. She also had 36 count Modena even weave, and I had all along thought there was no such thing as 36 count, that you could get 35 count Floba, but that there wasn't something, but there is. So I got a couple of these. So this is an even weave. Now, this even weave is definitely lighter than the 32 count Lugana. But there's that one, and it is not opalescent. And the other one I got was slightly neutral, and I am going to be likely using this for my New Year's Eve 12 by 12. I just thought that was so pretty. Now the other thing that I discovered is that she hand dyed 40 count Verdal, and you know that I love Verdal. So I have one that's a mauve color. Isn't that pretty? Again, these are not opalescent. And I haven't stitched on them to know whether it shrunk a little bit in the dyeing process, but it feels just like the other Verdal, so I think it's going to be fine. And then I got a straight aqua type even weave that isn't modeled at all, because every so often you just want something that's a little less colorful as your background than some of the modeling will make. So I just wanted to let you know that if you have an opportunity to see the fabrics, and she actually does specialty flosses too that she dyes, that hand dyed by Rolanda, you will enjoy that experience. Thank you very much. And I'd also like to thank Caroline and Carrie of Evertote and Roxy Floss Co. for the wonderful time that we had in Brampton. And I hope that it is something that each of you might have the opportunity to attend sometime, because it is so much fun to get to meet people like the Hathaway Stitchers. That was really fun. Yeah, can't wait till April, and I need to start my making soon because I'm down to 3 ornaments left, and need to actually get going on my gifts for April. Now, also in Happy Mail, Amy of Renewing Stitches sent me a package that arrived while I was away, and in it was a lovely thank you note because I had sent her something earlier this fall, and then she returned the blessing by sending me this adorable treble clef. Now, I have seen this before, and I'm wondering whether it might be either an ink circles or a long dog pattern because I know I looked at it and contemplated doing it in the base clef for her. Kind of ironic that it was going to be the same pattern. But then I went with the bluebirds. But included in my package was a huge amount of hardanger. I'm amazed at what a big cut you can get for a logical price in the United States. This is not what we would be paying here for hardanger. We pay for it the same as we pay for anything else at our needlework shops, and don't have any place else that's actually selling this. So thank you, Amy, because yes, this gives me an opportunity to play around with some dyeing of my own. And as you know, I do like a good 22 count fabric. It really is lovely. So I'm going to put those away. I'm going to wheel my chair closer. There we go. Okay. I'm going to start next with my fully finished items. So I did not get more stitching done on my Christmas cookie cutter ornaments, but I did get one more lollipop done. So we've got the sleigh on this side and the presents on this side. And I want to thank Kim of Contented Needleworker Kim for having an online chat with me so that I could work away at my finishing while I was chatting with somebody. It always makes it more fun. Now during that chat, I also finished my Flight of Flock into this ornament. On here, I actually have clear crystals between a variety of blues beads around the outside that somewhat matched the inside of this. I'm quite pleased with the look of this, and I am looking forward to fully finishing more of the Pigeon Coop designs. So this is 20 count white Verdal with one thread of DMC, and this is out of the In the Forest book by Max Pigeon. Now in my finishes category, I've got a few things that are finished, and then I'm going to save one to the end. You might be able to guess which one I'm going to save. So everyone knows that I've been working away at my 12 Days of Christmas stockings. And in the last 2 weeks, I did finish the 12th day for 12 Drummers Drumming. And for those of you who get totally excited for me, no, that's not the 12th one. As I mentioned in my last video, I somehow managed to skip doing number 4. So you will see that in my whips category. Now, also finished this week is a Puntini freebie ornament. I believe this is a 2021 Halloween ornament. I didn't quite do the entire thing. There was a boo underneath, and there's no hope, hubby. You're still going to be walking past. Trying to get in after a run so that he can check his watch for how he did. By the way, I did leave Stitch North a little bit early so that I could go to Niagara Falls with my husband, because on Sunday he was running a half marathon in Niagara Falls. And so he hopped on the bus. We had a bus shuttle coming to our hotel, supposedly every 15 minutes to take us to the start line, which was also the finish line. So he got off on like the first shuttle, picked up his kit, which has a timing button in it, and he started exactly when he was supposed to. So he said, come down at 9 o'clock. You'll be here for when I cross the line. So I went down at 9 o'clock for the shuttle, waited over 20 minutes for the shuttle, and there was already a lot of people standing there waiting for the shuttle. So we got onto the bus, standing room only, and the gentleman standing in front of me was going to greet his wife who was doing the half marathon. And I looked at him and said, well, the way we're moving in this bus, they might be across the finish line before we start if they have a really good day. And he's like, I don't have to worry about that with my wife. So because of traffic in Niagara Falls, it took another 20 minutes for us to get there, and they drop us off at the edge of the parking lots, and then you have to race your way to the line and find a way to get right to the track. I had missed him. He was through the finish line in less than 2 hours. He was very pleased because he was at an hour and 56. And he texted me from picking up his belongings tent. Hi, where are you? And I'm like, oh, I missed it. But he knew I was there in spirit, and they will have to adjust how they do those buses next time. Back to stitching. So this is just a portion of a Puntini Halloween freebie. I took out the spider and the outline here because I think I'm going to make one of those arch finishes out of this one. And this particular little piece of material, the sewing shop had a booth at Stitch North, and she would sell 10 pieces of fabric that were the size for ornaments and all different colors, and she'd sell them for like $12.50. So I picked up 2 of those and really feel like I did very well with those because I've got lots of colors to pick from and different counts. So this is added to my 24 in 24 for 24 different ornament designers because I had not done a Puntini. And also adding to my list for 24 and 24 ornaments, I did one of Lisa's. So Lisa Lost in Stitches has done a number of designs that are absolutely lovely. So on this, I believe that I did this on 35 count Floba. And okay, I did not use the colors she recommended. I think that she did these in a specialty floss that I did not have with me. So I used the colors that I had with me of sulky thread, and she was like, no, that's fine, just go for it. So this is a variegated blue. This looks black but is dark blue. And of course it says stitching through the night because you know that's what many of us are doing. It seems like stitchers tend to suffer from insomnia a fair amount. So I'm really pleased with this, and we'll be soon starting another Lisa project. Now, if you are hoping to do a Lisa pattern, I'm just going to alert you that right at the moment she has frozen her Etsy shop because she was getting kind of messages that were rather suspect and made her uncomfortable. So she's in the process of creating a website for her own patterns and things. So we will look forward to that, Lisa. And thank you for, when I reached out to you, providing me with so many lovely patterns to keep me busy until that website is open. So those are my 3 finishes for now, and I will come back to that category close to the end of my video. I do not know how long this video is going to be. Yes, might be shorter than normal. So I mentioned earlier, if we go on to works in progress, that I am working on the 12 Days of Christmas stockings and that I had somehow missed doing number 4. Well, I got number 4 started, but there are not 4 calling birds yet. There's only 2 of them on there and part of a stocking. So it's a good start. I know that I had hoped to finish all 12, the stitching of all 12 by the end of October. This fourth one was started on October 31st. I think I'm still going to be okay for finishing this and fully finishing the other 11, excuse me, so that I can get them out for the beginning of Advent. We have to provide puppy treats to the puppy. So there are many people that are stitching along with the Annie Beez folk art pattern, including Dottie the Stitching Scotty, Annie the Proper Stitcher, the Bougie Stitchers. I know that the Fanciful Flamingo was wanting to do these stockings. I haven't had a chance to catch up. I just noticed that she had one that must have come up in the last week or so. So I don't know whether she showed these or not. I know she had wanted to and was concerned she wasn't going to get to them. But I'm thrilled that she's posting videos. What else do I have for whips? Well, I'm just going to reach for a board. See whether one falls. You have not seen this for a while, and right now it's got a thread on it. In October, Laura of Stitching by the Shore was having her birthday, and so she has a pumpkin B-Day sal that she runs, and it's just continual. So my Puntini would qualify for, I stitched something with a pumpkin in October for Laura. I do have a couple more patterns that I have purchased for next year that will be bigger. And for Laura's, I Spy something with a bumpy texture. Some of those pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns really have bumpy textures. So I was able to get a couple of I Spies done with that particular stitch. Now the stitch that I'm going on to now, on Laura's birthday, I went back to the Happy Owl that I received from Natalia for my birthday. I'm not sure whether she meant it for my birthday, but it arrived in time for my birthday. And what I did was I finished all of the stitching and started on the back stitching at the different appointments that I'm doing with different family members. So I actually got quite a bit of the black outlining done, and they are suggesting that the grass be outlined in black, but because I did this on a smaller count than they had thought, this is a 32 count Lagana, I have more floss left than I might have had otherwise. So I have some of the dark green, and I think I'm going to do the grass in green instead of black, just because that's my taste. So I'm hoping that I will be able to finish all of the outlining on this particular stitch over the next week or so, so that that will be a finish for the next time. We will see. I'm not entirely sure how the next couple of weeks will play out. I am recording earlier than expected, just because of the needs of my mom in another city. What else did I do? Well, just before Stitch North started, you know that I found this, and the last time we were together I showed the little face of this owl. This is a freebie from TP Makes, and Tammy does have a floss tube that I quite enjoy. Nope, that's not it. So for a chunk of Friday of Stitch North, I stitched on the owl and then again in Niagara Falls, and I got the owl himself done. Just going to hold him up close. Isn't he adorable? I love the way she's done the feathers. Now this is as wide as this goes, and as you can see, there are fall leaves and acorns for me to do next. And I'm going to figure out whether I'm going to do absolutely everything as she has charted, or whether I might make this into a more oval shape rather than round. I haven't quite decided. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks, but this is a lovely pattern. Again, it is free, and if you watch her video, she provides a link that is really easy to grab the owl from. You put in an order, and then you get an email that you can press. So, I've got another owl. And I actually discovered after getting back from Stitch North that when you got down to it, I had a lot of finishes the last time, and I did not have as many starts as I had finishes, and I thought, oh dear, I need to start something. It's actually not oh dear, it's oh yay. And so just before I start on Christmas things, I thought that I would start on an Owl Forest embroidery piece. And I started this yesterday afternoon. If I'd had today as well, I was going to do another start to join Kim of Contented Needleworker Kim with the Mama Loves You BG pattern, Birds of a Feather Circle Together. It's a lovely pattern on Etsy. I hope you'll check it out and see whether you're interested in joining us on that sale as well. But this one, growing up, my parents really loved gardening, and they were very proud of their irises, so proud that when they moved to a different house that had fewer stairs, they dug up their iris and took them with them. So I have, when Owl Forest Embroidery had a sale, I went on and I made a purchase of the iris pattern, which I will show somewhere. And in the last few days, I've got to figure out which way's up, this way. I have finished almost 500 stitches. So you can actually recognize this as an iris. So this yellow here will go all the way around, and then there's much more picture, because as you can see, there is more fabric. This fabric is a 32 count Lugana by Picture This Plus called Nessie. I'm assuming it's because it's a little bit blue. Maybe it's Nessie the sea monster of the, whichever loch that is in Scotland. But my parents did actually have purple iris, so even though purple is not everybody's favorite color, when I pick this stitch up, I immediately have memories of being in the backyard with my father, and I'm truly enjoying this pattern. With regards to the In the Forest, the Max Pigeon book, I'm not going to show you my owl out of this book. I did not take it to Stitch North because I didn't think I was going to be able to see well enough on that dark blue, and indeed, even with my lighting at home, for whatever reason, stitching on blue is, the medium and dark blue is harder than even stitching on black for me, and that doesn't make sense, but it just is, so I accept it. So what I'm doing is 2 strands a day, and when I have enough added to the wings of him, I will show it, so hopefully next time. But I had said the last time we were together that I thought, because I had suspicions about that blue, that I would begin Blizzard Valley by Max Pigeon. And this is on a 36 count Floba as well. And you can see that I've got that most of the mountains in. You can see some of them are missing over here. And I've gone up and started to get the blizzard in. There is a bit more of the circle to come here, and then all of the bottom circle. So it's actually coming along very well. it's really easy to stitch, and I'm doing it with one strand of DMC. And if they're not the exact colors, they are a super close option out of threadbare, where I check if I don't have a color handy. So, excuse me. I'm loving this stitch, and we'll see if I can have it done by next time. I'm not sure. So my by the shore, I am this far, which means that I'm at 2.5%, which I consider good for how long I've been doing this. I wasn't getting a percentage done every 5 days for the first little while I was doing the owl. So I don't know. I might be able to have this done for Stitch North in October of next year, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. You can see the blue, well, the many blues of the sky. We have a bird here, a bird starting here. I unfortunately discovered I am short 2 of the colors. This here is not a bird, it's the top of a lighthouse. So I can now be part of the lighthouse Sal of Andrew the Runner Stitcher. I think we all know that Andrew recently did the Chicago Marathon and did a very good job of that. He's now looking forward to a half marathon, hoping that he's doing it in a warmer spot rather than a colder spot, because that's a long time to be out running when it's colder. And my last work in progress this time is my Quaker flag. I got one Quaker fully done. It's this guy right here. So you can actually see a really nice leaf shape taking place. It's interesting when you stitch this because these are symmetrical Quakers, but when you've got a little spot in it that's gray and you're doing the red, you feel like you're not making it symmetrical because you look at the red, the eye sees that. So I'm finding it a little challenging, but it does work out. I have a start on, I had a little bit of the red left on my thread, so I put a little bit up here, and I've got to start on this particular Quaker up here. Now, I have a question for you that I would love to have your opinion in the comments below. At the top of each one of these, you can see we've got this little spire. In the original flag, all of the gridding was in something like 801 or one of the like black browns. And that included these things up here. And I decided that I didn't want the gridding to be that dark. So my gridding here is a maroon color here, and here it is a smokier black rather than smokier gray rather than a silver gray. So I'm thinking of using this gray bit up here, but I must admit that to a degree I'm also wondering whether I just use red for those little spires, I don't know what else to call them, all the way around. So I'm curious, how do you see this? Should I stick with the red all the way around, or should I use the dark gray for the spires in this central section? This amount is 39% done. So I'm getting close to where, probably somewhere over here is the halfway point. Now Deanne of Stitching on the Rock has started from the other side, so we're soon going to be meeting in the middle because she's doing great with hers. She's got a lot done of the red stripe on the other side. I think she might have even finished the red stripe on the other side. So this is by Vivsters on Etsy. I'm using sulky thread on a 36 count opalescent white linen. And I had a couple people asking me, no, the opalescent is not hard to work with on this. It's a very soft linen. And you can see that it's a Zweigart by that orange stripe. So I've had no problem. I will say though that unlike many stitchers, I stitch with a needle that has a true point. I don't use any form of tapestry needle when I am doing this, because I find it hard when I'm putting the fourth leg into a hole to put it in with precision if there's a blunt end when I'm on a fairly tight weave. It did work back when I was on 14 count Aida, but it doesn't on these higher weaves. So I always use a point, and from that standpoint, there's been nothing that has caused any issues with stitching that piece. It is mostly easy. I find it easier to stitch the red than the gray, but that's just because I've got old eyes. And so those are my works in progress. So the one thing that we are waiting for today is my stained glass owl. I did leave 84 stitches to stitch at Stitch North, and I told myself I wasn't going to go look at any of the merchant tables for shopping until I had finished it. So I will say that one of the highlights was going up to Caroline and saying, have you found the cowbell yet? And she had to look for it so that I could be the first one to ring the bell. Now, Shiloh X Stitch MD, she rang it 3 times, and 2 of them were big finishes. So there was a lot of bell ringing. It was a lot of fun. Somebody finished beating their Nora Corbett reindeer. It was just amazing. Oh, Melita at my table. Oh, I forgot to mention her earlier. Melita had a grand finish. I think she finished Pandemic, and it was beautiful. Yes. I'll have to ask her if I can show you a picture of it sometime. So, without further ado, I'm going to show you my finished stained glass owl. Here he is. So I did use 1 strand of all of the called for DMC on a 20 count Aida. It was charcoal Aida so that the black of the stained glass would come through as true black and not be lightened in any way. Now I can stitch on charcoal Aida with no issues whatsoever. That blue stuff is harder. So I am super pleased with this. Now, I had always intended to do a tapestry mount, and now the debate is on because my husband has said, I will frame that for you. So the debate is, should I do it framed because I have such a generous offer, or should I do the tapestry mounting? Yeah, we'll see. But I am so thrilled. And in my sharing of a quilt today, I didn't put it up behind me. One of the things that this is just a personal thing that I'm finding, is that sometimes when there's a really colorful quilt on the wall behind the person showing the stitches, sometimes it's actually harder to see the stitch because there's so much color all around. And this one's colorful, so I didn't want to put it behind. So what I had played around with making pinwheels. Everybody does when they are first doing quilting. So I had some pinwheels made, and then one of my friends had purchased a package of 2.5-inch squares, and when she got it home, she looked at it and she says, oh, I don't like this. So she just handed it to me and said, do something, it's fine. I don't want them back. So this is my own design. So, and then on the back, I actually have a different quilt. So this is one that the back, I fussy cut some barns so that if there was ever a baby boy here, we could just flip it over and he could be on the floor on this and we'd be good to go. One of the things my sister and I often do is, dropping things, is we will use both sides of a quilt so that when we store something, we're storing two for the price of one. So that is a rather modern take on quilting, but I had fun doing it. It wasn't hard, and it really, if we look up close, you can see I just did straight line quilting and a cross gridding. I am going to today forego shouting out a whole bunch of new Flosstubers, largely because I'm doing this a little earlier and I wasn't quite as prepared as normal. There will be more to come. I do want to thank Erica of Fibers and Floss for shouting out the Canada chats that's going to be happening this afternoon. And that's where we're getting together the people who did the Canada swaps. And literally, if you're Canadian and want to join in, just join in. You don't have to have done the swap in order to join us and have that sense of community. And I also want to thank the Sunshine Stitchers, EJ and Sheila. They were so kind with their words about me in their last video. And I know that I actually had some people pop over and say, oh, they shouted you out, and I'm glad that they did. So thank you. You added to my subscribers. And now for a moment for music. So today I used one of my own pieces. So this is one of the books I've got published. It's called An Emotional Roller Coaster. One of the things that is important to me when I'm teaching is that I help students to understand how to make a story out of their music and portray different emotions. So each piece in this book has a different emotion for them to explore and quite a few different styles in here. So, and yes, this book is available. So what I played for you today is called Heartbeat. And it's a little jazzier than many of the pieces that you might suspect that I composed. But I did compose this for one of my students, and I think you compose sometimes your best pedagogical pieces when you've got a specific student in mind, because you can just go with it. And one of my favorite students, he is now studying music and theory in Quebec. Super proud that he's going on with the music that I taught him all those years. But he liked the jazzy feel, and so for one of his exams he used Heartbeat. So in here you're going to find that there's this use in the bass line of bum bum, bum bum. Because one of the things that I did was I actually went on the internet and I said I wanted to hear a heartbeat, and of course you can get a heartbeat on a YouTube video. And what I think a lot of people don't realize is that, like, the heartbeat is not a steady, it actually is lub-dub wait, lub-dub. So I incorporated that aspect into this and had the jazzy feeling going throughout the piece so that Alon could really use his natural ability with that styling and learn how to dig into the keys. Because when you're playing something that's jazzier, you don't necessarily have your fingers curved in the same way as you do with Mozart. It's a different tone. And that's what this book was all about. So I hope you will enjoy hearing Heartbeat. And so it is that here we are at the end of another video, albeit a shorter one. Thank you. Thank you all for taking a moment to be with me. Each of you is a gift to me. I appreciate your friendship, and I hope that you have been stitching through this and finding a way to just sort of detox from life for a moment, because each of us has so many things going on. If you've already subscribed, thank you. If you haven't, consider popping that button. I really appreciate that. I am hoping that I will be back in 2 weeks. These next couple of weeks will be the busy weeks with regards to taking care of Mother. So I'm going to plan to be back in 2 weeks, but if you don't see me, you will know why, and then I will be back as soon as possible. So thank you, and bless you. I hope that all of you who are working towards Thanksgiving weekend in the United States are enjoying that build-up, and that many of you are starting to think Christmas. I hope that as you watched my video, you had floss, fabric, and needle in hand, so that as you made something beautiful, you made yourself happy. As Laura says, you are important, and taking care of you is the best thing you can do for yourself. Thank you for being here. Bye-bye for now.